like I was saying, I just want to thank y'all for allowing me to come back here again. I mean, I really enjoyed last time being here, so I just want to thank you. All right. Now, the definition of slavery is the state of being a slave, the practice or the system of owning slaves, and condition compared to that of a slave, in respect of resulting labor or restricting freedom. Now, there's some good examples of slavery. You have bondage, enslavement, servitude, toil, hard labor, and grind. But I'm not going to focus my attention on slavery. I'm going to focus my attention on having a slave mind. Now, there's some good examples of having a slave mind. It can be material things. It's material things. It can be your family. Whatever you're addicted to, like drugs or alcohol. It can be religion. It can even be yourself. And whatever bad thing happened to you in your environment, and my wife can vouch for me on this one, the screen, like TVs or computers or phones, anything I watch the screen, she can vouch for me on that. So those are things that you can have a slave to. Now, when I was a young boy in Danville, me and my dad and Rico, we had to go to Cannon Market. It's a grocery store in Danville. And so my mom needed my dad to go get something. And my dad was heated that he had to go, you know, he was busy, he was a busy man. He was heated that he had to go to Cannon Market for one item to pick up. And so we there, and I noticed my dad parked in a handicap spot. I'm sitting there looking. And I had to be probably like between 7 or 8. And I said, Dad, you parked in a handicap spot. You're not handicapped. And my dad turned around and looked at me. He was already mad. And he said, boy, he said, what color are you? I said, Dad, I'm black. And he looked at me and said, then you're handicapped. Now, at the time, while we was walking to Cannon Market, I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, what do my color have to do with me being handicapped? And I was 7, 8 years old. I couldn't think about it. But the older I got, and the more I grew up in my environment, I started to realize I was handicapped. The more, it was just the way my environment was. And so I realized there was only 2 decisions I was going to have to make in my life at a young age. One, allow myself to be handicapped because of the color of my skin, or allow myself to be a victim of my environment, or just to follow the norm. This is what everybody's doing, so this is what I'm going to do. Or allow myself not to be a victim of my environment. I now allow myself to be a handicap and to fight for my right to be different from everybody else. To fight my right to not to be normal and doing what everybody else is doing. And I know that's easy said and done. But having a slave mind, it's like being trapped in a jar with no lid on it. While you're in the jar, you can see that there is no lid on the jar. But your self-doubt, your environment, whatever bad thing happened to you, your circumstances keep you locked in a jar with no lid on it. And you can come from a good environment. You can come from a good neighborhood and still have a slave mind. Let me give you a good example. Say if your father, your mother, your brother, and your sister grew up with that type of mindset. 9 out of 10, you're going to grow up with that mindset too. I'm not saying you can't break the chain, you can't be free. But if that's all you've seen, and that's all you saw and know, 9 out of 10, you're going to have that type of mindset. Now this morning, I'm going to talk about having a slave mind. Lord, just want to thank you for all the things that you have done, and just want to thank you for allowing me to be here and make it here safely. And just bless that somebody gets something out of the sermon today. I just want to thank you. In Jesus' name, amen. I'm going to be coming from John chapter 5, verse 1 to 3, and then I'm going to jump to 5 to Father 15. Sometime later, Jesus went up to Jerusalem for one of the Jewish festivals. Now, there's in Jerusalem, near the sheep gate, a pool, which in Arabic is called Bethesda, and which is surrounded by 5 covered colonnades. Now, what's so important about this pool is an angel will come down and touch the pool, and when he touched the pool, it would stir up the water. And whoever got in the water was healed instantly. No matter what was wrong with you, you got healed. And there was a bunch of people who laid by this hill. Here is a great number of disabled people used to lie. You have the blind, the lame, and the paralyzed. These are the type of people who laid by this pool. Was the blind, the lame, and the paralyzed. One who was there has been invalid for 38 years. And there was a man, for 38 years, he laid by his pool. Now, I'm 30 years old right now. I can just imagine how long it took. It took me a long time to get 38. Now, can you imagine yourself lying by a pool for 38 years? I mean, and that's all he did was sit there and wait to be healed. When Jesus saw him lying there and learned that he had been in this condition, and that's one thing you got to think about. In this condition, you've been in this condition for a long time. Especially when something bad happens to you, you could be in a condition for a long time. And this man laid by this pool for 38 years. He's been in that condition for a long time. And Jesus asked him, do you want to get well? Now, church, what kind of question is that? This man been laying on the mat for 38 years. Do you think he want to get well? What kind of question was that? But one thing I noticed, Jesus always asked a question sometime before he healed somebody. Let me give you a good example. Now, there was this beggar. He was begging the blind man. He laid by the wayside. And it's funny how he always laid by the wayside. And all he did was beg because he couldn't see. And since he couldn't see, he couldn't work. And since he couldn't work, he couldn't get money. And all he did was beg and beg people for money. So when they come by, he'd beg them for money. That was his 9 to 5. But one day, the crowd was extra excited. And he knew something was going on. He's like, this ain't the norm. And he asked somebody, hey, what's going on? What's all the excitement? And they said, Jesus of Nazareth is passing by. And when he heard that name, he was like, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. And he kept screaming at it and screaming at it. And the people who was with Jesus tried to quiet the man down. He's like, be quiet. And he kept screaming. He was like, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. He wouldn't shut up for nothing. And Jesus got tired of it. He was like, he had them bring him here. He asked the man, here go again, question, what do you want from me? Jesus could see that he was blind. Anybody knew he was blind, that's all he did. And the man said, Lord, I want to see, he replied. Now, there's going to be a big difference between this man and the other person I'm about to talk about. But they had 2 things in common. They laid by the wayside, and they both had something wrong with them. But the attitude was different. Now let's take a look at what this man said. He said, sir, the invalid replied, I have no one to help me into the pool when the water gets stirred. There it is. He said, I have no one to help me into the pool when the water gets stirred. And so while I'm trying to get in, someone else goes down ahead of me. Now, this is the difference between the beggar who was blind and this man who lay by the wayside for 38 years. Now this is the difference. One had the attitude, I'm going to get healed. You're going to bless me. I don't matter who trying to stop me, you're going to bless me. But this man right here, laid by the wayside for 38 years. I mean, don't you think he would have scooted himself up to the pool, scooted and waited for the angel to come down, and soon the angel stirred the water, he would have fell right in the water. Don't you think he would have did that? He lay there for 38 years. No, this man laid there waiting for somebody to help him. I'm not saying it's wrong to get help, but it's different when you try to help yourself first, and then it's okay to get help. When you just sit there, that's just like somebody living off the government. Just sit there like, I'm not going to do nothing in my life. I'm just going to sit here and let somebody take care of it. This was this man was doing. And then the excuse, he's like, well, I'm trying to get in the pool. Someone else go ahead and help me. Now, that was me laying by the wayside. Let somebody try to get in the pool before me. I would have tripped them up. Man, you ain't messing up my blessing. This is my blessing. I know that sounds wrong, but you ain't messing up my blessing. I would have tripped them up. I'm like, hey, I'm going to get blessed today. I'd have been like the beggar who was blind. You ain't stopping me from my blessing. And it's funny what Jesus said to him. Then Jesus said to him, get up. Jesus he didn't want to hear no excuse. Jesus told him, what Jesus told him, what did Jesus tell him? What did he say? Yeah. Oh, no. Y'all got to say it loud there. Come on now. What did Jesus say? Yeah. That's what he said to the man. He didn't want to hear no excuse. He was like, get up. Then he said, pick up your mat and walk. Do you know what's the significance of picking up your mat and walk? Jesus told him to get up. And when the man got up, he told him to pick up your mat and walk. Now, just think about this. He's been laying on this mat for 38 years. His mess, his junk is right there. Jesus like, get up and pick up your mess. Pick up your junk. Don't leave your junk and your mess right here. I want you to pick it up and take it with you. Because just think about this. If you leave it there, when something bad happens, you know what you're going to do? You're going to go right back to what happened to you. Because that's the norm. That's what you're used to. That's why Jesus said, pick up your mat and walk. Don't leave your mess right here. Because if you leave your mess, somebody else can fall in it too. So pick your mess and walk. And then Jesus, and at once, the man was cured, and he picked up his mat and walked. He didn't leave his mess there. He didn't leave his junk there. All the things that have been weighing him down, he picked it up and he walked. That's the most important thing. Another thing, Jesus didn't care what happened to him. I'm not saying he didn't care, but Jesus asked him, do you want to get well? That's a question like, yeah, I want to get well. You going to help me get well? But this man made up excuses after excuses. Laying there for 38 years. Like I said, I'm 38 years myself. I can just imagine laying there for 30 years waiting to get healed. That's a long time. Now, once this man was healed, now, I remember I said before, you can have a slave-minded religion. Now, this is what a slave-minded religion looked like. The day on which this took place was a Sabbath. Sorry about that. Oh yeah, here you go. This is kind of hard to mess with, so I'm sorry about that. Oh, there you go. Okay. And the day on which this took place was a Sabbath. And so the Jewish leaders said to the man who had been healed, is this the Sabbath? The law forbids you to carry your mat. Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute. These are the people God put in power. Is the Jewish leaders. They the one who's supposed to be helping the people. They the ones supposed to be taking care of people and make sure they go the right way. And the only thing they can worry about was this the Sabbath? Now, the thing about the Sabbath is, if some of y'all know, is God created the world 6 days, and on the 7th day he rests. And the Sabbath he was supposed to rest. But these Jewish leaders, only thing they could see was this man was carrying his mat on the Sabbath. Now, don't you think, since they were Jewish leaders, now this was bothers me. Why they didn't help the guy? Why they didn't help the guy get in the pool to be healed? All those years he's been laying there, don't you think one of them said, you know what? I'm getting tired of seeing you laying here. You're going to be the next one to get in the pool when the angel comes. But no. They were so big in the law. They were so big being upheld in the law that they couldn't help the way God meant them to do it. So now he got healed. Now they're worried about it's the Sabbath. Now they're worried about it's the Sabbath. And that bothers me. But the man replied, the man who made me well said to me, pick up my junk, pick up my mess, and walk. He said, but pick up your mat and walk. Now, these Jewish leaders, they wasn't worrying about that. They was trying to trick them to find out who did it. So they asked him, who is this fellow? Who told you to pick up your mat and walk? Who is this fellow? They had an agenda. And they wanted to know who was this fellow. And the man who healed me had no idea who it was. For Jesus had slipped away into the crowd, and that was there. Jesus had a good thing a way of slipping in the crowd. He was good at that, just to get away. And later, Jesus found him at the temple and said to him, see you doing well. Jesus was happy to see this man healed. Even though Jesus asked him, do you want to get well, he made excuses. Jesus was happy to see him healed. The Jewish leaders wasn't happy. And that's not what they was here for. They should have been happy. They should have been praising God that he was healed. They should have been like, thank you, Lord, this man is healed. And they should have used that as an example. But no, they should have worried about the same. And that's what being a slave to religion looks like. It's crazy when something good happens to somebody. There's people who try to knock them back down to the mat. I mean, something, they had a miracle happen. But they want to put them back on the mat and lay them there. That's what the Jewish leaders was doing. And that's shameful. When somebody get a blessing, even though you didn't get a blessing, you should not. I mean, I understand you're a person human, I'm human. But you should not try to put them back to where they come from. I mean, say if God was testing you to see how you was going to act. I mean, just think about it. If your blessing was right around the corner, and this person who got blessed, and now you want to act a fool because he got blessed and you didn't. God would be like, you know what? I'm going to push your blessing back further. So when somebody get blessed, you be happy for them. Even though you didn't get the blessing, you better be happy for them because you never know it's a test. And that's the difference from Jesus, how he saw it, and how the Jewish leaders saw it. And then Jesus told him, stop sinning, or something worse will happen to you. And then the man went away and told the Jewish leaders that it was Jesus who had made him well. Again, they had an agenda. They wasn't there to be happy for the man. I mean, they was like, we got to stop this man because, you know, we don't want the crowd screaming Jesus because he was, speaking a different philosophy. Now, Fiatt Independent Church, you need to pick up your mat and walk. You need to pick up your junk, your mess, whatever's stopping you, whatever's holding you down, and walk. Don't leave it there. I know it's easy said and done. I know if something bad happened to you, it affects you for years. It was this quote saying, 10% whatever happened is 10%, but 90% is how it affects you. This man been lying on this mat for 38 years. Can you imagine? Just think about those who married here, and you've been married to your spouse for 38 years. This man been lying on this mat for 38 years, waiting to get healed. 38 years. It's time to pick up your mat. It's time to stop making excuses. I know whatever happened to you, if anything in here happened to you, it's going to affect you. I'm a witness. I'm a witness of bad things happening to you and it affecting you. I'm a witness. And I'm very thankful that my dad said that to me. Because if he didn't say that to me, I would have been right with the norm. My dad taught me to fight. And when he said that, he opened up my mind and it made me fight. To not to be normal, not to be what the people in my environment was doing, to be different. Now this is a story of this guy, he was a Nazi leader. And while he was in power, a lot of people died under him. And he ended up going to prison for all the things that he done. Now, there was this young boy, the Nazi leader, the guy who was in prison, killed his parents. And while growing up, he grew up angry. The boy whose parents got killed, he grew up angry. He grew up hating this man who's in prison because he killed his family. All he knew and all he was consumed about was this man who was in prison because of what happened to his parents. That's all he could think about. That's all he knew. That's all he seen. He couldn't think about nothing else. Was this man. I mean, he hated this man so much. One day, that man in prison got out of prison. And he moved right by the town that the boy whose parents got killed. He moved right by his town. Now, the town folks in that town heard that he was living there, so they went up. They was, stirring up the crowd and saying, we're going to go up there and we're going to kill this guy for what he did back in the past. Now, the guy whose parents got killed, when he heard what was going on, he went to the man's house who was in prison. He said, look, the town folks are coming up here to kill you. You need to leave. And that man was in prison who just got out. He looked at him and he said, I won't leave only one condition. And the man whose parents was killed by this man, he said, what condition? He said, and the man was in prison, he said, you have to forgive me for what I did to you in the past. And so all of a sudden, what happened in the past stirred up in this man. Just think about it. It's all he knew. It's all he was consumed by this man. His hatred for this man started stirring up. His anger for this man started stirring up. Yes, he had a right to be angry. I understand that. I mean, everything that he knew came up. Yes, he went to help him to leave, but when he asked him to forgive him, it came up. And he looked at the man. He said, I won't be able to forgive you. He's like, I can't do that. And that man who just got out of prison looked at him and said, you know what? Since you can't forgive me and my wife is going to stay here. Christian, Fiatt Independent Christian Church, you know what it's time to do? It's time to pick up your and walk.